All right, everyone. So we're going to get into it. A big day today in the market. I think it's safe to say that meme stocks are back in play, at least for now. But usually these are the cleanest at the very beginning of the move, and then they start to get choppy and crowded, and it's easy to overtrade them and give back profit. So today I sort of felt like I got to strike while the iron's hot. Yesterday, there were a couple of areas where I felt a little disappointed that I didn't step back up to the plate, but I stuck with discipline, which was good and definitely a successful green day, even though I didn't get a really big win like I got today. So what was different about yesterday and today? Well, yesterday, if you recall, some of my first trades were early pre-market, and at that time when I was trading GameStop, it just didn't really pull away in a big way. And then by the time it finally did, I didn't want to chase it because the spreads are larger, and I just knew I could get stopped out very quickly and take an outsized loss. And coming sort of off of a big loss last Monday, a week ago yesterday, I was like, just be careful. Don't get yourself into a jam, because I was grateful that I had made back most of that loss by the end of the week. So I didn't want to go deep in the red, once again, Monday morning. So I was a little more conservative yesterday than maybe I needed to be. But nonetheless, GameStop yesterday, if we look at the chart, and let's see, we'll just pull this up here. This is a 5-minute chart. So we peaked this morning at $80 a share, which is wild. Yesterday, if we go back to this area where we were trading around 23.24, we had this sort of nice squeeze right here at about 7 a.m. It started to pull away, it pushed higher, and then it kind of pulled back. It squeezed up into the open, sold off, high volume selling on this candle and that red one, and then it does a red to green and rips up into multiple halts going up, and I just didn't want to chase it. So, left some money on the table on that. But what I ended up seeing was yesterday, later in the day, after hours, I was like, all right, well, look at that. Creeping up after hours. So what do you think it's going to do this morning? So I kid you not, this morning at 4:15 in the morning, I happened to wake up. I rolled over and I was like, what time is it? 4:15. I was like, well, maybe I should check the market real quick. So pulled up my phone, checked the market, looked at GameStop, and saw that it was up in the 40s. And I was like, okay, that's good to see. So this was like 4:15 in the morning. So it's pushing higher up to 44. So I was like, all right, no, that's good. That's good to see. That's what we wanted. But this is a little too early for me to trade. Granted, the volume here was it was fine. 300,000 shares on the first candle, another 400,000 on the next one and the next one. So you've already got 1 million shares 15 minutes into the day by 4:15 a.m. There's a lot of traders in different parts of the world, Europe, so on and so forth, that are trading, and probably, not just Europe. Anyways, there's East Coast traders that get up super early, but regardless. So this is a very hot stock that everyone's talking about. And by the way, what started the move was Roaring Kitty posting a meme on Twitter. Just a meme, one meme. And all of a sudden, that one post, it's really wild. So anyways, but the fact is, I think the short interest is around 20%, high enough that, now you've got some people that are underwater short, and 20% when you've got a float of, 69 million shares is a solid 50 million shares that are short, right? If 50 million shares are short on this, think about that for a second. Every $1 a share, it goes up. $1 a share. If you're holding 10,000 shares, you're up $10,000. If you're holding 50 million shares, $1 a share is $50 million. So this is a collective of all the short sellers out there. But on a 10-point move, they're down $500 million. So 50 million for every $1 a share it goes up. So this is a multi-billion-dollar loss for people who have been holding short. And 20% are short, which is about 50 million shares. So at least that's what it was about yesterday. So anyways, so this morning, 4 a.m., it starts to squeeze up. I sit down around 6:30 at my computer, and I was thinking, all right, well, let's see what it does coming into 7 a.m., because 7 a.m. is when retail brokers come online. The only most people trading here are trading with boutique brokers, institutional traders, but this isn't going to be most retail traders. So retail comes online at 7 a.m. And so I sat down 6:30 so I could watch that move at 7 a.m. And right at 7 a.m. we get this first kind of pop right here. So if I go back to my very first trade, I got in as it started to pull away right here, and we're going to go to the 10-second chart on this. It starts to squeeze, and initially I'm like, oh gosh, it's sort of similar to yesterday. I sort of hesitated. It sort of starts to move higher, and I was like, oh man, I'm sort of missing this move. So it pushes higher here, pushes a little bit higher, pushes a little bit higher. It dips right here, and then it goes higher. It dips right here, and this is kind of silly, but it dips right here, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a starter on this, and I bought this dip right down here. Let's see. Let me just check the high of this candle. So I just want to make sure I give you the exact right time. So it was right here. So on this candle right here, I bought this dip at $57.96. I bought 1,000 shares, and I added another 1,000, and then I added another 500 as it started to squeeze up. And as it goes up here and I'm up to 59, I'm up $2,500, $2,700, I go to sell. I'm like, nice trade. Solid. I feel good about that, right? Nice, solid little trade. So I'm like happy with that. And what happens? My order is rejected. So I put the sell order out. Well, I guess it's not exactly rejected. I put the sell order out, and well, let me show you the video. I did a video of it, which I did because I kind of knew. I was like, you know what? If I have to go to the exchange or someone and say, hey, this is what happened, I want to make sure I've got a video of the trade. So let me grab this video here. So this is around 7:15 a.m. Okay, so this is what it looks like here. So I added on this position, and do you see how the orange is sitting there in the order's sitting there in orange? So my order's sitting there and I can't do a thing. I can't do anything. The order is stuck. I can't cancel it. I tried to cancel it. It won't let me cancel it. I tried to log out, log back in. That's not doing a thing. I just can't do anything. I try to press the sell button, just to like get out. I can't sell because I've already got one sell order that's already out. If you have two sell orders, you're going to go short. So I'm just sitting there holding 2,750 shares at 58.11. And if you watch this, you'll see it is right now I'm down $3,300. And so I'm kind of like, I'm super frustrated. I'm trying to cancel it. It won't let me cancel. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do here? This is a major problem. So the first thing I do right away is I email the service desk at Lightspeed, which is my broker. I emailed them and I said, hey guys, what is going on? I'm stuck. I can't sell this position. I have an order out, but it won't let me sell. And then immediately I get on the phone, I call them, and they're like, okay, they pull up my account, they look at it, they're like, yep, okay, we see what's going on. Hang on 1 second. What do you want us to do? You want us to get you out? And I said, well, I put out my sell order at 50, whatever it was. I put out my sell order there, and I want that sell order to be filled because the price went above my order. So yeah, I'd like to get out at the price that I actually put the order at a time that it should have filled. And they're like, okay, well, let me call you right back. So I'm like, all right. So I'm sitting here and I can't do anything. So it ends up going all the way down to $54 a share. So I'm holding, let's just round up 3,000 shares. So I'm down about 4 points on, 3,000 shares. I'm down about $12,000 on this thing. And it comes back up here for a moment to 56, drops back down to 54, comes back up to 57. I'm just holding. There's nothing I can do. I'm just sitting here holding this thing. And then I see inside my platform, sometimes I'll post announcements, and they posted an announcement inside the platform. Let's see, it's kind of like funny. If you see right down there at the bottom, there's that yellow. So they post an announcement right here and they say, don't use Edge X or Arca, or they had like a couple routes. They said, don't use those routes right now. They're broken. So it's like, okay. And then, so then I'm sitting here and I'm just, waiting. I keep trying to cancel the order and log out, log back in. Nothing happened. Nothing happens. And now it's going up, and I'm like, well, thank God. at least it's going up. And for what it's worth, this is how I wanted to trade it. So what I wanted to do was, so let's go back here. I took this little micro pullback right here, going up to 60. And I tried to sell, and I should have been up, $2,000 on that trade. It then pulled back, and I was watching this area for an ABCD pattern. So right here, it pops back up, it pulls back. So I was watching for the break back over 57 right here for the squeeze back through 60. So I would have gotten probably $2,000 of profit on this trade, whatever. Then I would have been getting back in here for the break of 57. But I certainly didn't want to add to the position because I knew that I didn't even know if I'd be able to sell what I already was owning. So I was just like, I just am going to wait. So it ends up doing exactly what I wanted it to do here. It breaks through 57. It goes up to 60, and it squeezes through 63, 64. And this is when they called me right here. And they said, yeah, we're having a routing issue. We can manually sell for you. Do you want us to manually sell, or do you want to keep holding? And I was like, sell it. If I can't trade on my own, then yeah, just sell it. So they sold me out at $64 right here. And I was up $16,000. It ends up going higher, as you could see. And so this is kind of annoying because it did end up going higher. And I mean, look, I wasn't comfortable holding through this whole pullback right down here. And so I was happy to get out. And then as it goes a little higher, I was like, all right, well, let me change all my hotkeys. So I changed my hotkeys to use the route that they said was working. I then tested with one share, buying and selling. Orders went through no problem. So now I'm like, okay, I guess now I'm going to be okay to trade. So as it comes up to 80, it pushes up here to 67, ends up making this nice push up to 80. Right in here, I was looking for the break through 80. And at this point, I was like, I'm looking for a move up to 85. Maybe we're going to go parabolic to 100. So anyway, so I took a trade right here for the break of 80. It ends up, as you could see, dropping. So I took a loss on that. And although I got back in for a dip, I didn't make back as much as I lost. So I took a few trades on it, and I ended up giving back about 3,500 off of the 16,000 that I made from that kind of ridiculous trade. Comes back up to 80, but it can't break it. It drops again, pulls back. And at the open, I got my last trade on it. So at the open, I was expecting profit taking. I was expecting selling because I thought that anyone who was holding from yesterday who doesn't know how to trade pre-market is going to sell at the open. So at the open, it halts down once, twice, 3 times. And then it comes down here. And after the third halt, I got in at $47 and about 25 cents. It halts up once. It halts up twice. So we got a nice bounce here off the low. But I only did it with 250 shares because I had already given back a little bit of profit. And I was like, I don't know. So anyways, made back a little bit of what I lost. But that was my last trade on GameStop. Now, because GameStop halted up, I then started watching AMC. AMC had halted down in tandem, right? They trade sort of together. So this had halted down once and twice. So I bought at $8.87. It halts up at $9.24. It ends up going all the way up to $10.50. So on that one, I made $1,500, $1,700. Decent little trade. And then there was ctnt. ctnt hits my scanners. And by the way, there was a trade here on cost, a trade on Mullen, a trade on HOLO. These are relatively small wins, but I'm green on 6S6 stocks because we had some serious momentum today. So all of a sudden, ctnt hits the scanner, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, all right, well, it's moving up, and I had just gotten a couple other trades. I had a little bit of cushion. So on this one, as it starts to pull away, it goes from 2 up to 250 to 3, and I'm like, all right, this thing is moving. So I get in, and this thing goes to 350 to 4. It prints a high of 650 before dropping back down. I couldn't believe it. I took my profit off the table. I was like, that was insane. At the open, it ends up curling back up. I got another trade for the break over 450. We got a squeeze here up to 5 to 534, something like that. Sorry, it was right here. I mean, this was really wild. And the thing is, once I actually checked the news, which I wasn't looking at when I took my first trade on it, I saw that the news was that they priced an offering. So I'm like, wow, this is crazy. They have offering news and the stock goes up 500%. So that was insane. And it's still holding up right now, 254%. So this was wild. This was wild. SPWR, also wild. Almost traded it, but missed this sort of beginning of the move right here. Then we had Plug Power. These are kind of slightly larger floats. So to answer a couple questions, one, why was I trading stocks that are above my typical float? I was trading them because they were volatile, because they were moving. They were moving very quickly. They were very liquid. Now, it's true that NVIDIA and Tesla can also move very quickly and be pretty liquid, but those are also quite expensive. And so I don't usually like to go that high on price. Even GameStop is pretty expensive for me. But I did break the ice, you know, and so I ended up getting some trades on it. Not that I honestly did super well on it. But anyways, I mean, whatever. All's well that ends well. That just was a weird thing with the order. But, you know, so because we had the volatility, I was willing to trade some of these. But Plug, the float was just simply too high. Costs, the float is low. It is easy to borrow, however. AMC, 270 million share float, something like that, similar to 300 million, same as GameStop. These ones are more thickly traded, but trading around halts, we've got so much volatility. It felt like there was opportunity and it made sense. So, you know, I stepped up to the plate. Now, it's true that I'm trading right now in my big account. So I've got about $300,000 in this account. There was no leverage on GameStop, so I couldn't use any leverage on it. Not that this account has leverage because it's a retirement account. It doesn't. But even still, there was no leverage. So I was only able to trade with the cash balance. But $300,000 would have allowed me to take a max position of, you know, 6,000 shares or, you know, something like that, depending on at the prices. So I could have taken bigger positions than I did. I capped myself on that first trade, and I never traded more than that on GameStop. Most of my positions were small. CTNT biggest position was about 5,000 shares, maybe 6,000. I didn't go big on anything today. Didn't really need to. We had a lot of volatility. We had range. That's what I look for. I was able to trade it. I was able to come away in the green. So, you know, now as we look at the month of May here, all of a sudden one day has, you know, obviously changed the month pretty substantially. I mean, it's the power of, you know, showing up every single day, which we have to do because we just never know, you know, when we're going to have a big day. I had a $9,000 red day last Monday, right? That was my red day. Had recouped it by the end of the week. And then I didn't import yesterday's trades yet, but those weren't super substantial. But now all of a sudden, I'm going to have a jump here up to, you know, way up to here, right? This is 60,000. This is 70,000. So all of a sudden, it's like, you know, right back in the swing of things. Nice big green day today. And I'm grateful for it. I just, you know, I can't complain. And I don't want to overstay my welcome too much because I sort of felt like once the fact that GameStop halted 3 times going down to me was too much. All I was expecting was a dead cat bounce, basically. Got more out of it than I thought we would get, but I didn't expect it to go back to the highs after selling off that much. BTOC popping up, and you're going to see stocks that are juicy today. You know, you might see some big moves like this. Looks like this is a IPO. But manage your risk because like what we saw with CTNT, we've got some roller coaster price action. There's some FOMO in the market. And so people are trading with more emotion and with bigger size. And you can see some big swings during that environment. I saw someone today who said they went from their biggest red day ever to their biggest green day ever. That can easily happen on a day like this when we have this amount of volatility. So the best thing to do is to size down a little bit. For me, I also recognize that my emotions kind of, you know, I got activated because of the fact that I had this crazy fiasco at the beginning of the morning. I've been trading with Lightspeed for a long time. I have never had something like that happen. Now, I've seen them put out announcements to route away from certain orders. You know, that happens from time to time. but I've never been in a trade and had an order that I couldn't cancel. It happened one time before, and it was related to an internet issue that I was having on my side. I was trading in this cabin in Maine, and anyways, so that was my fault. That was an internet issue, but this was something different. So and I also saw some people today complaining that Thinkorswim was lagging on them. So the first week now, everyone's moved over to Thinkorswim from TD Ameritrade, now with Charles Schwab, and we go into this meme stock era again, or a little moment of time, and super high volume, tons of trading, billions of dollars of volume on GameStop and AMC, and the platforms can't all support it. They start to crack under the pressure, under that load. And so there were some issues there. Some other people were mentioning on other platforms. So, the issue is, if you all of a sudden use all your buying power and go in on one of these at like the high of day, and then you go offline for 15 minutes, you could come back on and it's down 15 points. And that's scary. I mean, trading is hard, but it's hard enough without having these tech issues, but they do happen from time to time. So it's something to be aware of. It's something that, I would say on a day like today, just maybe mitigate risk with slightly smaller size, because emotions are running high among all the traders out there, including me. So anyways, finishing the day, $21,003.52. Green is good. I'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning. And those of you guys who are tuning in on YouTube, I'll put the link down in the description for the 2-week trial if you haven't already checked it out. 2-week trial, it's $20. Gives you access to charts, scanners, my broadcast, the chat room, everything else, and you'll get a selection of classes from the Warrior Pro curriculum. We call it the Pro Preview, the Warrior Pro Preview. So I hope to see you guys in the community, and I'll be streaming bright and early tomorrow morning. All right, reminder as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, and there's no guarantee you'll find success. Whether you trade on your own, you'll learn from me. So manage your risk, take it slow, and I'll see you in the morning.